My name is Kaitlyn Falzone, and I'll be presenting today Chapter 9, which is focused on interactive television. Many of you may be asking what exactly is interactive TV. I personally did not know before reading this chapter, and I'm glad that I did to get that type of knowledge, and I hope that I can present it to you in a way that you will too know now what it is. Interactive TV, in simplest terms, is the convergence of TV with different digital media technologies, such as computers, personal video recorders, game consoles, mobile devices, and it enables user interactivity. Viewers are moving away from a lean back model of viewing to a more active lean forward one. And interactive TV is increasingly dependent on an internet delivery system for advanced digital services. So why should we study interactive TV? Well, our text gives us three really good answers. One, interactive TV fundamentally changes how we experience video content. And two, it offers the opportunity to co-create media content. And three, interactive TV, along with interactive advertising, will impact multiple consumer electronic devices in daily use. Multi-platform initiatives and mobile ITV have been added to the strategic planning of many key players in the ITV industry. Many multi-channel TV operators like AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, and most of the largest cable TV companies have begun to develop their own app stores in hope that layering applications on top of programming will not only transform passive viewing into a conversation, but will also provide a launchpad for future targeted offers. Video delivered to the mobile phone is expected to increase both in offerings and in consumer demand. The unexpected explosion of the tablet, and our text uses the example of Apple's iPad, and it has really revolutionized the interactive TV industry, and now you see that Samsung and Amazon, they all have their own version of the tablet, and even Barnes & Noble. Everyone's getting into it, and it only shows how this industry is growing. Social media. The most promising development in the ITV viewing experience is the combining of programming with social media platforms, and it allows viewers to co-view and comment. CNN has thoroughly integrated social media into its shows by frequently passing email and tweets from Twitter to its commentators. And I see this with ESPN a lot when it's game day and they'll have a certain player was traded. What do you think about this? And they have people tweeting with certain hashtags, so they are recognized by ESPN to join the conversation. Even local newscasters soliciting real-time viewer participation and interaction. The mobile phone and tablet app Shazam, which I'm not familiar with, but I do see their commercials all the time on television. It identifies content and integrates it with social viewing and interactive opportunities. Industry opinion is that audiences are increasingly seeking more shared clickable moments in their interactions with media, and viewers are already spending millions of minutes interacting with branded content. Researchers have already begun to scrutinize the characteristics and outcomes of virtual co-viewing. The final goal of social interactive TV is to provide users with an enriched shared experience socially. People between 16 and 24 years of age seem to be the most avid adopters of new forms of media consumption and the most likely to engage with media through a wider variety of devices than adults would be. And as I fall into that 16 to 24 age group, I can tell you that that's absolutely true, and it is only getting younger. I have cousins who are 10 and 13, and they are so much better at social media platforms than I am, and they think that I'm old just by using just Facebook and Twitter, so it's very interesting. Live TV viewership without interactive components has actually dramatically declined among audiences under age 25, and particularly so for children under the age of 11. Home-based TV sets have been challenged because of the proliferation of multi-set households, out-of-home viewing, and portable video and TV delivery devices. Portability also threatens the ability to adequately measure media exposure at the same time as it opens new opportunities for targeting. The move to digital TV is taking place at the same time as the number of subscribers to broadband internet access has reached 98 million U.S. households and 600 million worldwide by the end of 2011, and 78% of U.S. households now subscribe to a broadband service. Wider availability of broadband service coupled with digital program delivery has long been considered a key condition in promoting interactive TV in the U.S. Some of the background. The history of interactive TV in the U.S. to date has been one of experimentation and often commercial failure. The success of ventures such as YouTube, coupled with the apparent willingness of audiences to interact and contribute to these venues, has resulted in considerable investor interest. Nearly every week there's a new story on your local news shows, in the press, about the rise of instant fame of a YouTube contributor. Amateur web videos are now frequently shown on network news shows and all over the place, and there are segments about it. It's on some news show, so it is kind of crazy how YouTube is so influential. While ITV efforts in the U.S. had difficulty finding an audience within the past decade, European and UK ITV initiatives continued to be developed. Interactive commercials are common in the UK, and their click-through rates and conversions are much higher than web-delivered advertisements. Some European operators have found that gambling and gaming, not advertising, comprise a larger part of their revenue. So recent developments. By 2005, Dish Network and DirecTV had already rolled out ITV platforms in the U.S., with a combined audience of about 25 million viewers. A majority of cable TV companies are currently offering video on demand or VOD services, or they will in the near future. And as I previously mentioned, providers like Verizon are beginning to layer application with their programming, such as Facebook and Twitter's user face. However, there are some issues with recent developments in ITV. The technology underlying ITV delivery is complex, and several key problems have yet to be solved, particularly those related to packet processing and security. The transport network supporting internet services such as voice over OP, video, and all the regular internet traffic is described as limited in its ability to provide an adequate quality of experience from a user perspective. Adding the heavy burden of almost unlimited video on demand to this infrastructure is proving to be worrisome to the engineers developing the means of managing all of these signal streams. So there are many different issues that come with ITV as of now, and in the future we can see some of those developments to make it even better. So the current status. Right now there's confusion about how to buy and sell advertising on IPTV and interactive TV, and it's rampant. Agencies and advertisers still need to come to an agreement concerning how to treat the market for ITV products. There's also concern that consumer-generated content, or CGC, will continue to compete for the same advertiser dollars as affiliated networks. CGC includes content that individuals post, so that would be blogs, podcasts, newsletters, and also interactive advertising across delivery platforms is showing very high click-through rates. So the future looks bright for ad revenue and advertiser ROI, or return on investment, for ITV. Media measurement. media measurement practices are needed, which is fueled in part by advertiser demand to better account for new technologies such as DVR, VOD, and portable media devices. One media measurement company, and this is listed in our text, proposed using cell phones adapted to measure consumer media exposure by sampling nearby sounds. There also is no clear winner in the race to provide satisfactory media measurement because it has yet to be done. However, there is pressure to produce an acceptable and highly accountable system for measuring media exposure and for determining ad effectiveness in the converged media environment. Factors to watch. So first we have business models. In competition for both viewers and advertising dollars will be contenders such as the download services, iTunes, Google, Yahoo, TV networks, and producers, websites containing video offerings and specialty programmings that are targeted to devices such as cell phones. There is also a continuing threat of peer-to-peer or file sharing networks. It also isn't clear if ITV and IPTV will manage to support itself through advertising revenue, bundled e-commerce, a micropayment or subscription system, or perhaps some sort of hybrid of all of these. Teenagers also are a huge part. Generation X and millennials were brought up in the book, and it's kind of interesting. Their children are likely to be more media evolved and more likely to be multi-platform media users looking to smartphones, P2P, peer-to-peer services, VOD, whatever improves convenience and access. Teenagers have been exposed to high bandwidth networks and services, and it's been from very early ages. So they've grown up with this, and they experiment unflinchingly with media and new platforms. They expect and have many of the tools to obtain total control of media content. When programming tied to a schedule is no longer supported, pre-release content may come at a higher premium price. So now we're seeing like what would happen to any of the former television pricing models. We have no idea yet, and once ITV is fully implemented, we won't know of the consequences and how the prices will be. We also have new forms of content that are also emerging, including efforts by companies interested in porting existing content to various alternative devices, and even those solely dedicated to developing new content for devices such as mobile phones. Ad formats that are in consideration for the support of content delivery include on-demand ads delivered to match stated interests. So the book lists a few of them. And first we have vertical ads. These are ads that link the viewer to topical information and related products. I associate this one when you go on Amazon and you search for something and at the bottom it says you search for this, you may also like this, and it gives you 2 other options or 3 other options of what you may like that are paired with what you initially had searched. Opt-in ads. They are accepted in exchange for free or discounted programming. Then there also is hyper-targeted ads. Hyper-targeted ads delivered with localization or profiled matching criteria. I think of this when I'm on Facebook and I look on the right and maybe I've already searched for something and say I search for a CD player at a certain brand, maybe Sony, and on the side there on Facebook on the right hand side it'll come up with Sony on there because I already searched it and they're profiling me now and it's matching what I want. That's what I think of when I think hyper-targeted ads. There also is embedded advertising. This is the digital equivalent of product placement. And then they also say sponsored content. This is a longer form programming sponsored by an advertiser similar to the early sponsorship models of 1950s era television. Tomorrow's ITV and ITV of the future will need to include robust deployment of several features and functions that are so far incomplete. And this includes voice search and command, collaborative filtering and rating systems, micropayments, social viewing, real-time captioning, and dynamic and personalized content delivery. Consumer-generated content. I spoke about this a little earlier, and we can call it CGC for short. CGC is endemic online. It's ranging in quality from the primitive to highly polished, depending on who the individual is who's posting the CGC. And it's even saying, even now, even seasoned TV and film producers, as well as news correspondents, are said to be producing their own shows for online distribution and sale outside of the network for studio system. Next, we have the next factor to watch is piracy and digital rights. The threat from file sharing services such as BitTorrent or YouTube is much greater than any other threat, and it may facilitate the new distribution of copyright restricted content. And it may be even more of a threat, excuse me, since many file sharing networks have effectively gone underground in the past few years. Industry analysts assume that billions of dollars are already lost each year to copyright theft and outright piracy. The last factor to watch is media delivery options proliferate. Devices through which media might be delivered are likely to proliferate in the coming years, assuming consumer demand for increased portability and personalization of media delivery continues. Gaming platforms as an entry point to ITV will also continue to grow, and the integration of tablet devices will continue to grow. And I don't know how much more integrated they can get, but they're pretty integrated already, so we can imagine what new and exciting things are going to happen soon down the road with this technology. And early experiments in alternative interactive media suggest that there may be many ways of determining consumer interest and preferences, such as bioreactive devices, and consequently, our ideas of what constitutes ITV or media today might not bear much resemblance to what might be considered interactive in a decade or two. With everything changing, it's impossible to realize what could happen down the road, and we need to be aware of that. And I think studying it now will certainly give us a better opportunity to be prepared for it in the future. So my question to all of you, after reading this chapter, I want to know what you think. Do you, as students of mass communication, believe interactive TV or ITV will be accepted by audiences in the long run? Or will the novelty wear off? Will we get so excited about it now to interact with, based on our social media platforms with TV, that it's going to wear off soon? Or do you think it's in it for the long haul? I'd like to know what you think. Well, I hope you all enjoyed my presentation, and if I can answer any questions for you at all about it, I will certainly be willing to do so, and you can contact me. Thank you.